Hey everyone, Paul Wilson here. Sorry for the delay getting started. Just had back-to-back meetings. This happens when you're about to go on vacation. So um, you got to get everything done. So originally, I was going to talk about a few different things. Originally I was talking about, originally the idea being that this live stream was going to be about becoming an e-learning instructional designer. And I was going to share my experience, and we can still do that, of course. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't at least address the elephant in the room, and that's what we learned at the Adobe eLearning World Conference this past week. I was one of the speakers at the Adobe eLearning conference, and we got to see, of course, some great workshops from many experts like myself. I shared my responsive design workflow with all of you. Um, there's a recording of these sessions, so if you go to elearning.adobe.com, and perhaps what I can do is I'll do that and just share my screen with you guys. Let's just go to my desktop view here, and I'll show you where you can find it. Because if you didn't attend the Adobe eLearning World Conference, I really strongly recommend that you take a look at it here. So if we go to discussions and we click on, let's see here, Adobe Conference recordings, you'll see, of course, there's links to all of the session materials. So, actually, first of all, this link here from Ishan. We'll click that link, and that will take you over to where you can see all the conference material. So here's all the recordings. Now, I really recommend the certificate workshops. Those are great. Damien, for example, did a session on designing e-learning games, so gamification. Joe's link is not there yet. It's coming soon, but he covered quiz and knowledge check workshop. That was what he did. Joe Ganchi is, a well-known e-learning expert, specifically in Adobe Captivate, going back for several decades anyway. Greg Stager did a workshop on JavaScript. I have every intention of looking at that. Again, on my bucket list of things to get done, I definitely want to learn JavaScript this year. I've got this long list of things I want to accomplish, and I never quite get there. So, but hopefully that will change. Phil Kousel, of course, shared his Photoshop expertise. There was a virtual reality workshop. Here's my mobile responsive e-learning workshop. Kirsten Rourke did multimodal branching. Kevin Siegel talked about accessibility. E-learning storyboard workshop. I'm going to check that out as well. I do have a template that I use quite frequently. But again, this is a really good, let me in fact copy this, and I'm just going to go into my chat, my live chat, and I'll paste that there so you guys have a link readily available here. Just bear with me a moment. Again, being late for my own live stream means I'm a little unprepared, but that's okay. This is all just bear with me a moment. How do I get there? I really need to do more live streams because it is something that is, there we go. So let me paste that link in there. So I really recommend that you look at this and take a look at the workshops if you weren't able to attend live. I obviously was able to attend live, but there's many workshops that I did not get to see. So strongly recommend that you check that out. Now, specifically, the workshop that I want to bring your attention to today, not workshop, but was part of the keynote here. And again, we can talk about um, the other topic that I originally planned for this live stream if you wish. We'll let the live chat decide this. But if you follow this link here, and what we'll do is we'll view this, and I happen to know, let's just click on watch on YouTube. And I'm going to go full screen here. And we'll just take you back through what we saw on screen here. So let's just press pause. I'm going to go back a little bit here. So here's kind of what we can expect the new Captivate's going to look like. I'm excited by this. I think that this is a nice, clean interface. This actually is based on Adobe's new design language, and it's that language is called Spectrum. And you can go to spectrum.adobe.com and learn a little bit about that. But it's really, you'll see that they've got some very unique design ideas, some principles. You can, of course, really see this in action if you're an Adobe XD user. I noticed in the forums, someone mentioned that, hey, this looks a lot like Adobe XD. And that's not a mistake. That's quite correct. You can see the principles behind this design language. One of the criticisms that's so common for Adobe Captivate is, it looks old, it looks tired. That look and feel has been around since Captivate 8, which I think is, getting on to about almost, is it 10 years now? Maybe a little less than 10 years. But I think we easily forget because Captivate 2019 is the latest version. We kind of think it's still relatively new. Well, some of you don't. Some of you think it's not very new at all. The truth is it came out in August of 2018. So, right away, it's a 4-year-old piece of software that, other than some patches to fix some issues, hasn't really been updated. Not like other products like Storyline or Articulate Rise or other e-learning authoring tools. So, there's been a lot of negativity within the industry. I do want to say this, that, the look and feel of software is important. You'll see, of course, you can read through this, and I'll let you look at this on your own. I'll copy this link and we'll put that in the chat as well, but I need to go back to that. We'll just copy that link and I'll paste that in the live chat so you've got that available as well. Yeah, I mean, Nick, it could be you, but I've seen there's a particular person I'm thinking of that has definitely had some very negative comments about what Captivate looks like today. But again, I think, the simplicity of this design, I really like the fact that Pooja pointed out that the look and feel of this or the design of the interface is very much based on a left to right approach. So let me just mute her for a second here, and we'll just let that play. So really the focus is on, you start on the left, you choose the tool that you wish to add, and we have all this legacy stuff in Captivate that is kind of getting in the way of how things function. And if we get rid of that, that's I think probably the biggest takeaway for me, is that this version of Captivate, is clean of all the legacy crap. All the old Shockwave Flash, all the interactions that only work with Shockwave Flash, why are we hanging on to this? We're hanging on to it to support these people who have these courses that are 5, 10 years old. So this new left to right approach. So you start on the left, you pick your tool, and the list of tools, as you can see here, is simple. You've got text, you've got shapes, you've got interactions, right? Which could be buttons and things like that. I'm not sure what this icon is for. And then, of course, we've got media, video, pictures, and I believe this is a record icon for doing screen recordings or software simulation. Don't know yet, haven't seen this version myself. And then from there, you've got your slide, then the slide itself, and obviously the familiar paradigm of a properties inspector and different versions of the properties inspector depending on what you're doing. So getting into preferences, getting into actions, animation, and of course, audio, slide audio, for example, or background audio. The idea of a theme is there still, so that's encouraging. I'm really looking forward to the ability to continue to work with themes. I hope they're improved in many ways. Certainly, I'd love to hear from all of you. If you're attending this as a live stream, by all means, put in the chat what you are looking forward to changing in Adobe Captivate or the next version of Adobe Captivate. So, the first comment there is, did Adobe mention a rollout timetable? They did not, and they typically don't. For someone who's done this a few times, I've certainly seen beta testing of Adobe Captivate before. I would say that we're probably going to see, based on some of the comments from the Adobe team, we're probably going to see a public beta late October, early November, somewhere in that range there. And I think what we'll see is, and this is my speculation, it's not based on anything, I think the product will ultimately be called Adobe Captivate 2022. And we'll probably see it in early 2022 or 2022. So another question here from E. Miller. The question is, will the vast knowledge of your tremendous library of tutorials still be usable? Honestly, I have no clue. It's one of those things that, I'd need a crystal ball to truly answer that for you. The fact is that my video tutorials, I already know that some of them are obsolete, right? If you go back to some of the video tutorials, I started doing them with Captivate 8. I've certainly used Captivate since version 2, but I didn't really start to share my knowledge and experience until Captivate 8 was launched. Shortly after that, I started making tutorials. Some of them are still very valid today. Like if you were to watch the early tutorials I did about software simulation, video demo to a degree. What else has not really changed? Anything where I'm talking about question slides or knowledge checks, and even advanced actions. One of my earliest and most successful videos is about creating a custom results slide. Totally could use that today in Captivate 2019, but was recorded with Captivate 8, so it's 3 versions ago, right? So, or 4 versions ago, actually, now that we think about it. I think, you're looking at a product that has evolved, obviously, during that time. There are things that I learned in Captivate 5, Captivate 6, Captivate 7 that I'm still using today. Does that mean that, all of my videos will be usable in the future? Probably not. Probably some of them will be considered obsolete for new Adobe Captivate users. But I will say this. I'll say that, there have only been a small number of tutorials that I've literally taken down. Because there are Captivate 8 users out there. One of my colleagues, Alexa, who I was just on a call with another client, while she has the latest version of Captivate herself, her work is still using Captivate 9, which is 2 versions ago. So, it doesn't mean those tutorials are obsolete. And that's why I keep most of them up. Many of them still get views today. So, as a YouTuber, forget being a Captivate guy, but as a YouTuber, it's really beneficial for me to keep this stuff up because it's still useful to someone, which is a good thing here. Let's just take a look at the chat here, see if there's any other questions that have come up as well. So self-generating closed captions, 100% agree, Matthew. The closed caption workflow is cumbersome and very manual. So I agree. I would like to see that. I've given them that feedback before. I think it's really important that you do so as well. So one of the things that you can do, let me just pause this video I had running here. If we go to elearning.adobe.com, now this moves around a little bit. It's really important to not discuss this stuff in the forums because, quite frankly, that doesn't do anything for you. Maybe I have a bookmark for that. Or maybe I don't. I may not. Okay, there's another place I think we can get it is community.adobe.com. Really what I'm saying here is that I think what's really important is that you communicate to Adobe what you want. I can speak from experience. When Adobe Captivate 7 was current, I got a call from Adobe and they were doing some surveys. They were questioning people and asking about, how they use the software, what they would like to see different. Here's what I'm looking for here. Let me copy and paste this link and paste that into the live chat. So this link here will take you to the place that you would request new features, something you think would be beneficial to the greater good of people that are using the software. But this page here that I've just put the link in, just fill that in with your suggestions, with your ideas, but also your bugs too. You're gonna, if you've found something that's not working the way you would expect it to, or the way that a reasonable person would expect it to work, let Adobe know. They can't fix it if they don't know about it. And commenting on Facebook and Twitter and the forums often will fall on deaf ears. These are a different group of people in a different part of the world in many cases. And they don't know that there's a problem with Captivate unless people are telling them. So I've learned from experience. I've found that on several occasions, I have filled out this form for obvious reasons, because of course, if you don't fill out this form, the specifics of the problem that you're experiencing, and you'll see down here, like you can either select feature request or bug report. And if you choose bug report, some of the options will change, steps to reproduce the bug. For example, a recent one that I've found was that when you're inserting a cutout character, a photorealistic character from the assets window or store, you sometimes have to do it twice in order for that cutout character to actually be pasted on your slide. So that can be a problem. Obviously, it's there's a workaround. It's just do it a second time, but they obviously need to know that to to fix those sorts of problems. So definitely make use of that form, because the product won't improve if you don't tell them what you're looking for. So we'll leave that at that there. Matthew is saying, would like to see editable shapes. To a degree, Matthew, you can do that. I'm not sure you're aware of that, but if you guys are interested, I can just open my project, or open a blank project right now. Bear with me a moment here. I'll just close some work that I'm working on here, and we'll go ahead and we'll share my screen, and hopefully Matthew will learn something new today. My goal. Let's just quickly put a blank slide in here. And if we add any shape from the list of shapes that are here, and I'll pick something a little bit more crazy than I normally would, something like this here. So there are some things you can do to change it right away. Like I can make the arrows more or less pronounced. I can change the overall shape of maybe the rectangle in the middle. You'll see there's these additional selection handles that sometimes will allow you to do certain things. Here's a common one. You might need a star, but maybe you need, your rabbi has asked you to build an e-learning course. You need a Star of David. So let's change that to 6 spikes, right? So there you've got your Star of David, or 7 spikes, or 8 spikes, or, so don't assume that just these shapes that you see here are all that you can do. There's other examples of that as well. Like, so this shape here, maybe I don't need a full 180-degree arrow. I just need it to go part way around. But you're not just limited to that, Matthew. You can also do this. Here's the original shape. If you right-click on this shape, and we're looking for the ability to convert to free form, right? You'll see that in your context menu here. Once I convert this to free form, I have these selectable and editable selection handles here. So let's say I want something completely different shaped than what we have here. You can grab any of these points and change its position. So we could create an entirely new shape from the old shape. I'm not sure what I'm drawing here. I'm just picking stuff. And you'll notice that each of these selection handles has Bezier curved lines, much like you would see in Adobe Illustrator. And you can select those and create curves and all sorts of different effects and come up with a shape that is entirely different than what you started with, right? So you could probably even draw cartoon characters. It's kind of starting to look like someone's head here. But you can customize this. And of course, when you're done, if you need this for later use, within this session, you can certainly save the shape, call this, funny head outline or something like that. So don't assume, ask these questions of people like myself. So now, of course, you'll see that shape is there, and I can produce a new version of that shape. Obviously, until we get our hands on the beta, we won't know all the answers, but just